Well, hello and welcome along on M69 Derby Day as the Foxes make the short trip across to Coventry to face them in the Championship. They do so after 2 wins in a row, including safe progression in the FA Cup.
Found a nice ball for Taggart, who goes for goal, and that is a fantastic strike into the far corner. It's Cheltenham 0, Leicester City 1. Wide it goes with MATCHDAY looking to turn around the outside of Tomkinson. He's done fantastically. He can go on into the penalty area. Still MATCHDAY going on, and via the deflection, finding a second for the Foxes. And that is a big goal at a big moment. And it's MATCHDAY on the score sheet to make it 2.
Well, here we go then. Coventry against Leicester City. It's one of those fixtures that you look out for at the start of the season, isn't it? If you're a Leicester City fan, that's for sure. Kickoff is in half an hour at the CBS Arena, and we've got all the build-up right here on Matchday Live on Foxes Hub. Welcome along to the studio with me, Dan Bates, Gerry, Taggart and Steve Howard. It's nice to have a striker in our midst today. It's usually defender. Steve Howard joins us. Fantastic to have you both with us as ever on a game that I think, regardless of form, regardless of positions in the table, Coventry against Leicester, it's a derby. Everything goes out the window, doesn't it? And excitement levels are through the roof, Steve.
Well, I think so. You know, these are the ones that you really want to play, and I think, you know, there's going to be 30,000 people there, and the atmosphere is going to be superb. And these type of games, you know, you want to get up for it and you know perform well, and you really want to play in these games, you know, every season, to be honest.
Yeah, listen, it's a big game. We know that, and we know it's a derby, and there's a little bit of needle in there. I think really though, I think, you know, probably some of that edge should be taken off today's game. I mean, if you look at Derby, I think they're 15 points in front of Leicester in the table. They've only been beaten once all season by Ipswich.
At home.
At home, that is, sorry, yeah. So we know it's going to be a difficult game. So try and take a little bit of that pressure off the players. Yes, soak up the atmosphere. They will understand that, you know, this is a big game, but just try and take a little bit of pressure off the players, especially the younger players who, in recent times, have done so well as well, you know. So play the game, try not to play the occasion.
We just saw the goals there, Steve, from that FA Cup victory a week ago. That means now 2 wins in a row for Leicester, 3 wins in their last 4. Polar opposite really to Coventry. They've not won in 4 in all competitions. So actually, when it comes to form, table's a different thing, but form suggests Leicester are the form team of these two.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to play. Coventry, obviously, they start the season, they hit the ground running, flying, you know, blowing away teams. You know, arguably the best side in the league at the minute, but their form's dipped. You know, they've hit a bump in the road, and Leicester's found their sort of performances where, you know, it's you get frustrated with Leicester sometimes. I'm sure you do, Gerry, watching it every week in, week out. But it's when they're good, they're brilliant. And you know, it's a sloppy goals, but obviously, you know, the form that they're in at the minute, I think, you know, it's a great time to play, you know, a team who's pipped for promotion.
Yeah, I think the best game I'd have to say I've seen this season was against Ipswich here at King Power Stadium, and if they can replicate that kind of performance against Coventry today, then, you know, they've got a really good chance of, you know, getting something positive out of this game. I mean, Ipswich came here, who are a fancy team in this division this season, and Leicester blew them away. Simple as that. And that's the kind of performance that, you know, you're hoping for. But as I say, you know, if you look a little bit deeper into the reasons why, you know, Leicester have been a little bit inconsistent this season, is, you know, you probably got to look at these younger players who are just starting at the beginning of their career, coming into this side, and you know, it just takes a little bit more time for them to settle in and understand the level that you have to get to week in, week out to be successful. As far as Coventry are concerned, you know, every team has a blip. Yeah, and maybe this is Coventry's, but especially at this level, at championship level, and it's come in this busy period of time of the season where Coventry have sort of not hit a brick wall, but they had a few stumbling blocks along the way. So you just keeping your fingers crossed that continues.
I think as well, you know, with the games, Leicester could be in a totally different situation come next Monday, because obviously they play today and then Tuesday and then, you know, winnable games in next Saturday. You know, and I think what Beatty, I think they're 4 points off playoffs.
Yeah.
So 4 points off players, so you could, you know, you were well in the thick of it. Because I always feel as though, you know, you play your games until the new year, and then when the new year comes in, that's when you get to work. You know, you've got to put the points on the board, you've got to grind games out, and you've got to go to places like this who are having a wobble and go and turn them over and produce that 3 points. And then you think, we've got Tuesday, and then we've got Saturday to really get up that league.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the team then that hopefully will do exactly that this afternoon at the CBS Arena. In terms of changes, it's probably easier to compare to the last league game. That was against West Brom. That very late victory thanks to that wonderful Abdul Fattawu strike. In terms of changes from that game, it's just the two. One at fullback, so Luke Thomas comes in, Hamza Chowdhury drops to the bench. And the other is in the forward position as well, Steffi Mavididi back in the starting 11. Monga back to the bench. It's Stolarczyk in goal, Ricardo, Nelson, Okoli and Thomas. James and Skip the midfield two, with Fattawu, Dikot and Mavididi supporting Jordan Ayew. On the bench then, it's Begovic, Chowdhury, Daka, Vestergaard, Samare returning to the bench. Obviously, he's missed a number of games through injury. Louis Page, he's been so impressive coming off the bench. Jeremy Monga, Silko Thomas and Olabade Aluko. So a nice mix actually of youth and experience on the bench. Hopefully, Leicester will be calling upon their bench to maybe see out a victory as they did a few weeks ago. Gerry, from the team there, that's probably as close to what you'd maybe have guessed as what it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no real shocks, no real surprises. I think, you know, you're looking at that triangle, Stolarczyk, Nelson, Okoli, and they're straight away. You know, they've had a good relationship in the last few games, which is great. But this is what I was talking about just before, the inexperience those three have had. But they've all had good seasons to a certain point. You know, obviously Ben Nelson is an emerging centre-half who's, you know, looks the part. Stolarczyk, you know, again, looks really good at times. He's made the odd mistake. And for Caleb Okoli, he's still learning how to deal with the English Championship. You know, but I mean, he's putting up a good fist of it at the minute, but very, very inexperienced. And that is basically the beginning of the spine of your team. You know, but everywhere else on the pitch, yeah, obviously there's that sprinkling of experience with Bobby Reid, Ayew, and you'd have to say Mavididi's a semi-experienced player in that as well. So, you know, they carry that threat going forward.
I think with Ayew as well up front, it gives because a lot of goals are coming from midfield. I think, you know, it gives Ayew the chance to drop back and let the other midfielders go in and score their goals. You know, James and that. But I think there's a lad, Grimes for them, for Coventry. I think, you know, playing Ayew there makes everybody sit. Maybe we can put a bit more pressure on Grimes, you know, playing that sort of selection there. But Okoli, obviously, they've got a bit of pace up front. You know, with Vestergaard, with Okoli, I mean, Gerry will tell you more better than me, but I think he'll deal with it a bit better with the pace. So it's be interesting to see today.
Yeah, let's talk at the other end of the pitch. Then you've mentioned Steffi Mavididi, Gerry.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic performance against Cheltenham, didn't he? He got the assist for Patson Daka's opener. He then scored a brilliant solo goal himself. So you can kind of see why he's in the team again.
Yeah.
Man of the match performance last week. This goal itself is brilliant, isn't it?
But yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Cheltenham helped Leicester's cause a little bit at the beginning of the game because they didn't pressurise Leicester. They didn't make it as horrible as they could have done. Leicester eased into the game. But Steffi Mavididi was I'm not going to say the only, but he was the first player to actually do this, go and drive at Cheltenham's defence. He did it for Patson Dacker's goal, where he's got the assist, and obviously for his solo effort here, where he's actually just gone through the gears. Cheltenham couldn't live with him, and obviously he had the finish to boot as well. So yeah, really good performance from him.
I think when you play like teams, and you know, Gerry knows as well, when you play teams like Cheltenham, they go in two ways. They go, oh, we're playing Cheltenham, or, you know, as a player you go, yes, they're in League Two, but I'm really going to step my stall out. I'm really going to play, you know, and try things I maybe wouldn't, and try and get me confidence. I know it's a League Two team, but I think MATCHDAY there went to that game, thought, you know, I'm going to get the ball, I'm going to get it by the scruff of the neck and do what I'm good at. And that'll give you confidence, even though it was against League Two. You'd be going into this game thinking, well, I did it last week, I'm going to do it again.
I said it on the day, Steve, I thought it was a really good performance from Leicester.
Because we know that they are bananas. You know, mentally, you've got to get yourself up for that.
Exactly, and that's what we were talking about. This is not about, you know, the technical side, the tactical side. It's about the mental side. And I thought they handled it really, really well last week. And we seen also last week that, you know, Macclesfield dumping out the holders. And that just shows you what this competition throws up every single year. And there's a reason for that, and that's because up here they're not spot on.
Totally agree.
So a lot easier for them to be mentally spot on today, obviously, because, you know, as you say, we know what's at stake.
Yeah, a great goal as well for Patson Dacke. Presumably, then his confidence, whether he comes off the bench, should be high because it's a brilliant finish. You'd then think, oh, could he maybe have started today? But then Jordan Ayew scored in his last league start against West Brom. So both strikers in amongst the goals.
Yes, you know, I think Ayew's got the nod, obviously, because of the certain system they're going to play. But, you know, that'll be good for Dacke. You know, it's I'll keep coming back. It's a great finish. It's a great first touch and a great finish. But the, you know, a goal's a goal. You know, no matter who you're scoring against, you want to score goals. And if you can get in that mindset of scoring goals every time you play, no matter who it is, that's the mode you want to be in.
I mean, not only does he score a goal, but he starts to move off. It's a clearance, a long ball. And what Patson Dacke does there, you just see it, he gets in front of the defender and drops it off. And that sets a move up. And it just shows you how important it is for your strikers to try and get a hold of the ball when it comes up to them. Because when you've got MATCHDAY in this form and running at defenders, and you can see their defence backing off, then it just shows you how important it is for... And so, although we talk about the finish, the first touch I thought was exemplary as well from Dacke when he receives that little inside pass from MATCHDAY. But it's the actual hold-up play that gets the move up and running, which was vitally important.
Yeah, speaking of moves, I know it was just under 2 weeks ago now, that West Brom game, Steve, but we can see the goal, particularly the first one, the Jordan Ayew goal. The move from Leicester is really good there. And again, okay, it's a striker's finish. He's got in, he's done well to get in ahead of the defender, but he's in amongst the goals. Yeah,
I mean, it's, you know, when that's the thing when it's so frustrating when you watch Leicester at times, because that's a brilliant goal. It's a great football goal. That's a goal from a team who's should be high in confidence. You know, one touch passing. You know exactly where everybody is, and it's a great finish. It's a great goal. You know, and you know if Man City scoring that goal, everybody would be like, brilliant goal. You know, that's that kind of form that Leicester need to just take the confidence out of and keep doing what they're good at.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, as a coach, that is like
perfect. Yeah,
you're patting yourself on the back when you see a goal like that going. Yeah. I mean, all one touch, quick interplay between the forward players, running off the ball from, from Jordan James, and then obviously the cross, and Jordan Ayew obviously just holds his run, waits his time, doesn't get into that near post too quickly, steps on it, and it ends up being an easy finish. But that is straight off a training ground. That's what the manager wants to see. That's what we all want to see a little bit more of.
Yeah, I tell you who definitely will have been patting themselves on the back of that. That's Abdul Fatawu as well, Gerry. We might as well quickly see the winner from that game, which hopefully we said at the time might just be the kickstart, might just be the catalyst to Leicester going on a little bit of a run, because it was a huge moment in the game, and to score a goal as good as that one at that stage of the game was huge.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to feel sorry for West Brom. But West Brom were probably in the ascendancy, but I mean, Louis Page heavily involved as well. When you've got a player like Fatawu,
it's a great finish.
That is, And the time, was it 95 minutes on the clock or something like that? I mean, I think it was Simon Grace, who said no other player probably on the pitch would have scored that apart from them. And that's what he brings. He is a game changer. He's a game winner. And the pressure, you know, the situation where Leicester were in the game, for him to pull that off. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a you know,
technique
you can hit that 20 times and it'll go over the bar or it'll go wider. But he just caught that, you know, so sweetly and that was a good finish.
What we talked about after that game was Leicester just staying in the game. They stayed in the game. They were resilient. Yes, there wasn't the free-flowing football as much as, you know, throughout the game as we've seen for the first goal, but they stayed in the game. And sometimes, like you say, results like that are probably as important, if not more important, than walking off the pitch, having battered someone 4-0 and played really good, sweet football all the way through.
That's the championship, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you're staying in games and then nicking the win. And that's what this league's all about, is grind it out. And because it's, not terms of, it's a hard league. Yeah. You know, if you can stay in games and then nick, you know, 3 points like that, and you're rightly said, you look back on the season and think that was a massive win. So.
Yeah. Let's turn our attention then to this afternoon's match. The small matter of Coventry away. Leicester have only lost one of their last 9 against the Sky Blues. This was in this fixture 2 years ago in the Championship. But Leicester have got a new manager now, Martí Cifuentes, of course. He's been looking ahead to facing Leicester's rivals, Coventry, as well as taking lessons from the 0-0 draw earlier in the season.
Yeah, we have the memories of the last game we played against them at home. I think it was a quite good performance against a team that obviously is doing really well. Yeah, we want to give a good result to our fans. Obviously, we had now two wins in a row. We want to try to build some momentum. We respect the opponent, we respect what Coventry has done this season, but we definitely go there with intention to deliver a good performance and to try to get the 3 points.
How have you analysed them over the last few weeks? Obviously had that flying start to the season, but their form has faltered a little since then.
Yeah, but I think that credit to them that they started the season in an amazing level, picking a lot of points that gave them the possibility as they have now. As you said, perhaps the last results have not been as excellent as it was in the beginning of the season, but still they are in the position they are because they have deserved to be there. So I think that shows that with a quite a stable group of players that they know each other for now more or less at least a couple of seasons playing together, with a manager that has been there for more than one season, they have built an identity, and I think it's very clear. The way they attack, the role that Grimes has in the build-up is very important, the way they can transition as well, that they're good in set plays. So it's a team that competes really well at the championship level.
That was Martí Cifuentes there speaking ahead of the game. If you want to watch the full press conference, you can do so over on the Leicester City YouTube channel. That's also where a number of you will be watching us here on Matchday Live as we build up to kick-off. On Fox's Hub, of course, you can watch the game in certain territories. There are international half-season passes available for £90. Any information on what's available to you to either watch or to listen, all you need to do is head onto the website, onto Fox's Hub, click on the corresponding game, and you'll be able to find there if the game is available. Matt Elliott is on co-commentary duty for us. You'll hear from him during the game. We'll obviously chat to him at full time as well, hopefully where we'll be speaking about a Leicester City victory. For memberships, there's a new prize available this month. You can win a 1992 retro shirt. That's available for members and season ticket holders as well. All you need to do is become a member there. Just head on to the LCFC app to do so. It was interesting, Steve, hearing from Marty there. He was kind of echoing what we were saying a little bit about Coventry. Obviously, was so good at the start of the season. Just on a little run now that results aren't necessarily going how they would want them to. I'm just thinking back to when Leicester went up a couple of seasons ago. It was a little bit similar, wasn't it? There was a little run at the start of the year which results weren't quite where Leicester fans thought maybe they would be. Mm-hmm. It is difficult to try and get out of that, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Gerry's right when he mentioned that every side will have a bit of a bump in the road, bit of a blip, and I think this is Coventry's time to have that blip. But I think Cifuentes will be looking at this game thinking, you know what, after the form we've been in and the form they've been in, I think he'll go in there very confident with his game, thinking if we can, get some kind of result and walk away from that, I think, and carry on the unbeaten run. And I think that's what he'll be looking out for. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's important. How do you keep Coventry in this blip?
Yeah,
is an important factor before the game starts. We've just spoken about Fatawi's 95-minute winner that potentially could, send Leicester on a bit of a run. On the flip side, how do you stop Coventry from getting out of this blip? Because the more this goes on, then the more individuals have a little bit of self-doubt. I'm not saying it doesn't matter what the manager says. Of course it does, but you start not doubting the manager, but you start doubting yourself more than anything as a player, as an individual. And so it's important that they understand that at this stage of the season, and obviously going back to when Leicester played Coventry here, for me, Leicester were the better team. Even though it was a 0-0 draw, they were the better team, had the better chances, but couldn't capitalise. So how do they capitalise today?
Because I think if Leicester start well today, especially with a full house there, their fans thinking, right, we've obviously got a blip in the road. Their fans could possibly turn if Leicester get the first 10, 15 minutes, dominate the game. It'll be interesting to see which way their fans go. Yeah, especially with 30,000 people there.
Yeah, and a quick word on their goal scoring. They're comfortably the best scorers in the league, Coventry, but that actually has dried up a little bit recently. They've only scored twice in the league in the same game once since November, and that's an awful lot of games that they've had there. So whereas at the start of the year, Gerry, they were averaging over 3 a game.
Yeah, we scored 7 against QPR, I think it was.
Whereas now it's not quite where it was.
Yeah.
Have teams not necessarily found them out, but they've figured out a way to play against them?
There may be a little bit of that. Teams have found them out, and it may just be, as we said, it's a bit of a loss of form, a loss of confidence, self-belief. You can stick all that stuff into the mix and give, and come out with a reason why. Yeah.
You come up with 10 different things. But
yeah, exactly. You can stick them all into the mix while they're not firing on all cylinders away. But as we've spoken about, it's just the intensity of this league, and especially coming into that period, you said from November and then coming out the other end, it's just it's hectic.
It's funny because you try to analyse the game and then you think, well, at the end of the day, it's a derby game. It's a big game for both clubs, so anything could happen really. But I think for me, I think you're right, Gerry. Anything can happen, but you just have to say to yourself, we're in good form. Leicester's in good form. Keep going. Silence this crowd early doors, and then just see how it flips.
And bring that mentality that the last 2 games has brought you to the result.
Yeah.
One, staying in the game till the very end, and this may well be the case today. Will I have to stay in the game? We'll have to wait and see how it pans out.
Yeah, I'm just looking as well, Gerry, at the bottom of the screen there, you can see the 11. I'm just thinking Skip and James with Decordova-Reid in front. That 3 works firstly incredibly hard, doesn't it? And also it provides goals, particularly James and Decordova-Reid.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important that they see plenty of the ball today, those 2 in particular. And obviously the 2 wide players. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, when that front line, when the 2 wide players are playing well, Leicester invariably create and score goals. Obviously with Jordan James in the mix as well, and Bobby Reid in the mix as well. But invariably it's when Fatawi and MATCHDAY have got opposition defenders on the back foot, running towards their own goal, then the space arises for the experience and the nous of a Decordova-Reid. Those late runs, midfield runs from Jordan James, from midfield into the box. It's those 2 invariably that started all off by putting opposition defences on the back foot.
Which you need it, particularly on a derby day, particularly away from home.
Exactly. If you can, if you get your IU with a few goals, you're going to get goals from the midfield because they're attacking midfield, and when they click, like the West Brom goal, when they click. So I think there'll be plenty of goals there. He's just got, and I totally agree with Gerry that if the wide men do and push their defence back, then it opens up the space for the midfield players to to bomb them and obviously create chances. Because Leicester do create chances. You know, they do create chances, and I think, you know, if you had, you know, an out-and-out striker, maybe, you know, he'd be up there with 10, 15 goals himself. But I just feel as though, you know, with that midfield, if they click, then Leicester's a different team.
They're the two players in Leicester's team that have genuine pace, and obviously the technical ability to back that up, to back that pace up. So that's why they're so important to this team, because, you know, when they're on song, defences can't handle.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's hand you over then to our commentary team. Charlie McGuinness is alongside Matt Elliott for this M69 derby over at Coventry. It's a big game for the Foxes. Let's hope we can make it 3 wins in a row in all competitions.
If you are watching on lcfc.com, just sit back and relax. If you are watching on social media, the live stream will finish shortly. If you want to continue enjoying our coverage, you'll need to head over to lcfc.com/Foxes Hub and purchase one of our game passes. If you are watching in a territory where the game isn't live on TV, you'll be able to watch a live video stream on Foxes Hub. Please visit lcfc.com/territories to check. If you can't find your location, live audio commentary is still available. You'll need to have an lcfc.com account before you purchase your Game Pass. If you already have one, please sign in and select your product at lcfc.com/Foxes Hub. Select the Buy button and you'll be taken to the payment page. Once you've followed the simple payment steps, press Continue at the bottom of the screen and you'll be taken to the Foxes Hub homepage. If you purchased a video pass, please select Watch Live from the Foxes Hub drop-down menu. If you purchased a Listen Live pass, please select Listen Live. If you purchased a seasonal or monthly video pass and the game is not being shown in your territory, please select Listen Live. If you are having a payment or technical issue, please email Leicester TV Support at streamamg.com. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the match.
Well, welcome along to the Coventry Building Society Arena for this lunchtime championship.